Now we will learn another type of loop statement that is called the for loop. So syntax for that for loop is we have to write the for keyword, then we have to write these round brackets. In the round bracket we will we will initialize some variable over here, we will assign some value over here in the initialize. Then we have the control which will check the control is actually the condition which should be true for this loop to be executed continuously. Then we can use an increment or a decrement operator to move this loop further the number of times you want to execute this loop. And after that you will add the body of the for loop. Over here you will write the statements that you want to execute, like you can write any number of statements over here, like let's say I have written statement 1, statement 2, then we have statement 3 and statement 4. So any number of statements can be written in this loop, for loop. So for loop actually executes statement at a predetermined number of times. The control expression for the loop is initialized, tested and manipulated entirely within the loop, for loop parentheses. So the first thing, when the microcontroller reaches this, will check that it's a for loop by checking that it's a for loop keyword. Then what will do that it will initialize that variable, then it will check that either its condition is true or not. Then then it will execute. If its control statement is true, then it will execute all these statements, and in the next it will check the increment or decrement. It will do increment and decrement, check the condition, and then it will execute. So let's try this by an example. Let's just comment this over here. Let's add these two comments so that it don't play any part in the execution of the code. So let's say over here after serial.begin, let's say I am going to write the for keyword for loop, and in the round brackets let's say I have a variable I, and let's initialize to 0. Let's initialize to 0, and I want to run this for it should be I should be the for loop should execute until I is less than 10. And as you know that our starting condition is 0 and the ending condition is 10. That is so to run this loop we should be doing I++, and in the loop body let's keep things simple and write something to serial print line, and let's write the value of I. Now what will happen that this I variable we have to declare somewhere. So let's say I write over int I is equal to 0. So what's happening over here that when the controller reaches this keyword, it will check that it's a for loop, then it will give I a value of 0, and then it will check that if I is less than 10, then it will execute this statement, and after executing this statement it will increment the value. In the next way it will be 1, and we'll check that if I is less than 10, then it will execute this statement. So let's save this, let's make this a little bigger, and let's run the simulation. You can now see that we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So over here, as the condition specifies that I is equal to 0, this loop will run when I is equal to 0, and will check I is less than 10. So over here I is less than 10, it has executed till I is less than 10. So in this way the for loop works. Like if you want to use this is the increment operator, and if you want to use the decrement operator, then what you have to do, you have to first write over here I is equal to 10, and then you have to change this condition for I is greater than 0. And now when you will run this simulation, let's save this, let's stop the simulation, let's run it again, and you can now see that actually we have done a mistake, that we have done over here I plus plus and started from 10, and we have written I is greater than 0, and it will be running infinitely because we haven't counted any condition to stop the loop. So let's stop this, and instead of increment operator, use the decrement operator we have studied in the previous videos. Let's save the project and let's clear this, and let's run the simulation. Now you can see that our starting number was from the 10, and it has decremented to 1, as we have written that I is greater than 0, till that it should operate. So 1 is greater than 0, so it has operated 10 times. So in this way the for loop works. You can do over here like if you want to blink an LED, like digital write pin number 13 high, then give a delay, let's say I am going to delay of 500 milliseconds, then let's write digital write pin number 13 low, then we add a delay so that we can see that our LED is blinking. So let's save this. Now you can see that as we get message over here, the number of times we get these as it's running for the 10 times, we will see that LED has blinked 10 times. Let's stop the simulation, let's clear the terminal, let's run the simulation. Now you can see that it's 1 10 9 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1, and now it will stop. Similarly you can also do, let's see how the LED will behave when we do this. If our starting condition is from 0 and the I value should be less than 10, and as starting is 0, so we will increment our counter to reach this value. So let's stop the simulation, let's save this, and let's run the simulation again. Now you can see for 0 LED blink 1 2 3. So for 10 times it has just blinked. You can also not only start from 0, if you want to use it, let's say if you want to use it 2, then let's stop the simulation, let's save, let's run. So you can see that it started from 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and you can see that the 8 times the loop has executed. So in this way our for loop works, in which we specify the number of times the loop should execute. While in the previous loop, like we have studied the while loop, in the while loop we specify the condition against which the loop should, when that condition is true, the loop should execute. Similarly in the do while, we have specified the condition against which until that condition is true, the loop should execute. But in the for loop is used when you have an idea that the particular event should be executed a certain number of times. In that cases we use the for loop. So what will happen if I add this for loop in the while loop? So what will happen actually, let's arrange this. This is a loop, and this loop is in another loop, this one loop. This is also called the nested loop type situation. So what will happen, that this loop will execute and then let's add some statement over here so that we can see that serial dot print line we can write for loop end, and let's save this. Now what will happen that in the loop it will come over here, this will execute this 8 times. After executing, it will print a message of for loop end, and after doing that, because this is the loop, this will execute again and again. So let's run and let's see what happens. Now you can see that the for loop is executing, and once this for loop execute complete, we get a message, and then again the for loop starts to execute. This again for loop is executing is because of this loop statement. So hopefully you have understood the for loop statement